Hello, welcome to Discussing Tabletop for, of course, April 14th, 2018. This is our 72nd episode. Welcome, everyone. Of course, joining me as usual is Wyrm. Joe will be here shortly. He's experiencing some technical issues. We're starting without him. We'll take like a short intermission once we need to like kind of move things around, like a minute or something to set everything up. But until that happens, we're just going to rock and roll and go through the docket of things that we're going to be talking about today, which it is a quite full docket because we have things from last week and this week I do want to talk about. If we don't hit everything, we might either skip it entirely or move it till next week. You know, kind of push things down the line a little bit. First off, I do want to talk about the D&D Unearthed Arcana that was released. It's a domain, order domain. So, seemingly simple, something that we want to talk about, something interesting. Star Wars fully functional for the Star Wars RPG system. Want to talk about that. That's more of a mechanics-based one. Elite Dangerous RPG has released a number of expansions to it. Mirror, an RPG that's based around being one-shot related. We'll talk about that. On the Air, which is all about a 1930s, 1940s radio show kind of RPG. So, different than your normal 1930s, 1940s. That's normally like detective noir kind of feeling. So, radio show kind of feeling is very interesting. Then we have a number of board games to talk about. Crystal Clans, Dark.net, Dragon Ball Z Perfect Cell, Fairy Tile, Missile Command, and X-Files Conspiracy Theory. We'll see if we can run through all of those. We'll try our best. Then, of course, we have our Kickstarter Korner, our Week in Tabletop, and Consult the Table. So, why don't, though, we dive in, of course, to the first thing here, the order domain for Unearthed Arcana. Again, if you don't know about Unearthed Arcana for Dungeons & Dragons, it's their basically test stuff. It's things they're working on, they show off to you, get some feedback, usually publish it in a book somewhere down the line. Usually. Not always. So, it's a divine domain for clerics. And I guess, Wyrm, you and Joe basically said it the best way. It makes you a paladin.
Yeah, it's like a paladin cleric, and I'm kind of like, okay, it's all right. But
why aren't you just a paladin?
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, my opinion on it. It's okay. So basically, it's kind of a way to get some features of a paladin, but still be a full caster, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that then, that being, like, the reason behind it.
Actually curious, though. How much does this cut into a paladin? Because I feel like you're almost just taking parts of the paladin that make the paladin a paladin. With basically, it's like, here's a paladin, minus subclasses, plus a cleric. I'm wondering if that's, like, a little bit powerful. What does it take to do the, when casting... where's the... Oh, Divine Strike. You don't get Divine Strike until 8th level.
I was going to add this in and I forgot to. Let me just adjust this on the fly for you people out there, so don't worry about it.
Okay, their Divine Strike is much less powerful than a paladin's, which is good. They don't expend spell slots, but they can only do it once. They can only do it once per round. They don't expend spell slots, but it's only 1d8. Whereas I think base for a paladin is 2d8. Those are oaths. Where's the? Oh yeah, Divine Smite. No, it's 1d8 start. Wait. The extra 2d8 for first level spell slot plus 1d8 for each level. Yeah, so it's 2d8. Yeah, so it's a little bit weaker. I think that's good. You wouldn't want them to be overshadowing the paladin's abilities.
True.
The tag team ability is kind of fun. The ability to, like, you cast a spell on someone and then they get to use their reaction to make a weapon attack. The nice thing about that is you can heal someone, and then they get to use their reaction to attack. And since it's a weapon attack, not a melee weapon attack, you can actually do this on a ranger or an archer, making it so they can, if they're not going to get touched, what are they going to use their reaction for? So it's like, well, zap, heal, and then, oh, now I got to use my reaction to shoot someone.
No.
I don't think...
And, like, the Divine Strike, Order's Wrath, that kind of thing are very nice, but they're also, like, they feel very paladin-y without being an actual paladin, almost.
Yeah, they're thankfully, they're not... I would have been afraid if you could expend spell slots if they were actually that powerful. But, it's weaker, but it's nice.
Mm-hmm. So it does find that... Does it find the perfect balance? Not sure. Does it find an okay balance? Sure.
Yeah, I still feel like something's off with it, though, that I can't quite place my finger on.
Yeah, I don't know. There might be.
So I feel like they're not...
There we go.
And things don't always...
We'll block me and Joe a little bit. I can kind of hang out to the side. I was
Yeah,
trying
I
to
was
set
gonna
up
say-
that you can see part of my what we're looking at.
Oh. Yeah.
I intended to do that
So-
earlier today, but with Joe's technical difficulties, I forgot totally about it. Anyway, yeah. Getting back to it, though. Yeah, I understand, like... Did we need something that got a little in between the two of those? I'm not sure if it was necessary to, like, kind of fill that kind of gap in the middle. They have an interesting spell selection. It looks like very paladin kind of spells. Again, I mean, dominate person. Yeah, okay. They're going very authoritarian, enchantment-y, controlling. So I understand.
Yeah. No, I almost feel like 8th level's a little late for Divine Strike, to be honest.
Yeah, where you start doing extra damage.
I feel like Order's Domain and Divine Strike could have been flipped.
Second, you regain 1 expended spell slot. Yeah, because then you're getting extra spell slots by casting enchantment spells. With some wow, English control on it, because it is basically it has to be a lower level spell and it can't be higher than 5th. But that means every 6th level spell I cast allows me to cast 5 other spells. Because of the way they say it. Well, I guess not 5 other spells, because 2nd level or higher, so 4 other spells.
Yeah.
Because that's still... How many more spells does Order's Domination give you? As long as you cast a lot of enchantment spells.
I mean, the question is, actually, how useful are some enchantment spells?
That's a good question. How many enchantment spells does your
Like a cleric
average
know?
cleric know? Well, I'm not sure on that one. Like,
I mean, I assume, like, Command is probably enchantment.
hold person?
Is Hold Person enchantment?
Yes. It's their 2nd level.
That's actually very, very powerful.
Yep. So hold
You
person.
can cast that all day.
Yeah. I'm not sure about 3rd level. Bestow Curse. Probably enchantment.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah, there was enough debuff and, like, power spells to where that could actually become pretty powerful in the long run.
Yeah.
Especially since things like Hold Person don't really get all that much more powerful by being cast at higher level spell slots. So it's like you can just expend them.
And they add Compulsion and Slow, which I think are other enchantments. So basically, like, for the spell levels where I was looking and I could not see, like, decent enchantment spells, they add it from their domain spells, it looks like. It's like, by the way, you wouldn't have had a 4th level domain spell that you would have had enchantment. Now you do! You could just keep casting Compulsion. Compulsion all day. And then Dominate Person, of course, which is just...
And for Hold Person, all higher levels of Hold Person does is make it so you can hold more people at once. That actually starts to get really powerful.
So yeah, so basically, it's Hold Person all day, though. Because yes, you can use higher level slots. So I use a 5th level slot, and...
fifth level slot, let me just hold these 5 people. Okay, you took out one. 4th level slot, let me hold these 4 people. You took out another one. 3rd level slot, let me hold these 3 people.
Because it doesn't say spell, it says slot, actually. So... Yeah. I just keep using 5th level slots for Hold Person and lower, and you're right, Hold Person all day. It's that I think could definitely be abused. There's not a huge selection of enchantment spells for a cleric, but they're like, it's Hold Person, eventually Dominate Person, and a couple others that are actually pretty good.
The ones that the cleric can learn are some of what the cleric is known for.
Yeah.
Which, that becomes pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. Granted, I guess you still have to cast them. It's just that you almost don't worry about running out of things like Hold Persons.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to worry about using up Hold Persons. I can cast it 1 billion times. I feel they'll probably, in the long run, nerf it with that kind of thing, and I do agree that maybe that should have been switched with Divine Strike, at least. That should have been a higher level one. And I feel like that might have been should have been higher than 8th, before you start getting that one. Because, yes, when you get high enough level, it's probably not going to matter too much that you have like 1 billion spell slots anyway.
Yeah.
So, having the extras are cool, but it probably won't come up as much. So I don't know. I don't know where the balance is. There has to be a good balance there that makes that ability less useful, but I don't know where it's off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. I'd see them nerfing it at some point in time, or when we see it again, it will be different and probably what would be referred to as nerfed.
Yeah. I feel like that is just the bane of hordes. Hold Person all day.
Yeah.
Just like, what? Let's just get into this little bottleneck, get those 2 people up there. Yep, okay, now hold them. Okay, now hold them. Hold them some more.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, because think about it. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can do that, like... I mean, you only have to be, like, 9th level to get 5 casts of,
Yeah.
No, you have to get to a 6th level slot to get more.
Well, you can't use higher than a...
No, you can... The spell you regain, I think.
God,
like,
yes. So you can use... You have to get 6th level slots, which is 13th, I think? No, 11th.
Yeah.
11th. Yeah. 13, 7, 15, 8, and 17 is where 9 hits.
Yeah, but it's kind of like... That's,
Still, yes, you can't fully use it for another 5 levels, but you still get it ahead of time a good chunk. It's again, it's out now. If you want to check it out, see if your DM will use it. That's the thing, is like, it's probably not.
I'm willing to try it.
Yeah, I definitely would say try it out.
It's not like so powerful to where it's not like it's not like the Mystic where I'm just like, I look at it and I go, no.
Yeah, this one.
This is like I'd be willing to try it. I'll test it. It's not gonna break my game so much.
It shouldn't break the game theoretically. Again, I think there's a balancing point. So like, it's sort of like those classes which are really good at early levels, like warlocks and monks. But as they scale up, they become less powerful and even out more with the other classes.
See, the hard thing about this is it becomes more powerful as you level up.
But then again, as I said, there's that point in time where it hits that peak and then it starts going down because you have 1 billion spell slots anyway.
And it does hit that peak around the same time as those levels because, again, it's when you get 6 levels that it kind of reaches its peak. At that
point in time, you have you're starting to get a lot of spell slots anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I still play a high-level game where I can actually use high-level spell slots. I don't think I've ever gotten past, like, third level spell slots.
Though technically speaking, you still could do, even when you get 9th level slots, it's just, it says, the slots you regain can't be higher than 5.
Yes.
So I cast my 9th level, hold person.
No, like, if you cast 8th level Dominate Creature or whatever,
yeah,
you can get a 5th level slot back still. So, it's still pretty dang good, even at higher levels, but...
But you have a billion slots anyway. You theoretically won't be running out of them unless you're marathoning a lot, and then the character will be built really well for marathon.
Yeah, this is a really good marathon character if your GM really likes to marathon you. Although I have yet to find a GM who does. I probably come the closest.
I like having, like, 3 or 4 encounters before letting people have rests. Sometimes, you know, one big one and then they rest, but I know some people that like the one big one and then you can rest afterwards, so it's like I can just expel anything, everyone. But there's always those times.
I do both.
There's always those times that he sneaks in a second encounter right after it, so you should be a little and that's what those times, because they're unexpected, are what keep you from expending quite everything in these battles. Just one little trick. But anyway, all right. So, why don't we move on? I did want to talk about Star Wars The Age of Rebellion has released a new book, engineering source book, Age of Rebellion, which I think is a really interesting one because, like, when you talk about Star Wars for characters, you want, like, okay, maybe you have a Jedi. Okay, that's one big group of one. Maybe you have some kind of rebel pilot or something, or person working for the rebels. Okay, that's a big one. Maybe you have your smuggler types, your kind of Han Solos. No one talks that much, not that they couldn't play it, and not that they don't have options, about the lowly engineer who keeps the ship and the droids going. Granted, I have seen a Star Wars game where someone played an engineer, so it's not like it can't be done, and it's not done well. It's just one of those things that's not the first choice for a Star Wars game.
Honestly, that sounds like a lot of fun, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is like there are character archetypes in the universe which are probably less likely for someone to say, like, "Oh, I'm thinking of that right away," but they'd be really fun to play. I'm sure there's still some other ones. You know, like, what if you're playing sort of like a political figure? You know, I'm sure you could probably do a game in one of the various timelines with politics, but I'm glad that they basically put out an entire book on being an engineer. So they have things like mechanical worlds, droid specialists. Specializations are good. You know, I think they've added a couple new races. I have to check through everything they added because, again, this was from 2 weeks ago. 3 playable new species. There you go. I was right. Which is always good, too, because I think that's one of those, like, things about the Star Wars games. They have a lot of alien species, so more options are always better. And I think they add a couple systems and stuff, too, that you can, like, get some information on. You know, it's, even with everything here, they always add some other information that anybody could really use. It's sort of like, yes, this is the engineering book. Here's 3 races. Maybe they're races that are really good at being engineers. Doesn't mean you couldn't be something else.
I just noticed one of the earlier supplements is called Stay on Target.
Yeah. They apparently also, like, came out with signature ability decks for the thing, like talent trees. I don't know what their ability decks are for the RPG systems. They're kind of, like, unusual.
They might be, if I had to guess, probably like the like condition cards, Numina cards, Dread Power cards from World of Darkness.
That makes sense.
Or they're like ways to keep track of things without having to necessarily like have it just all copied from the book. You could just get these cards and then pick out the cards that are yours or whatever.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense a lot more. And, you know, I guess this one focuses more on Age of Rebellion anyway, but I'm assuming you could use it with the other systems too, since they all kind of overlap a little bit. So, no, I think it's a very good one for them to do. I would love to see some more interesting ideas from the property here of, like, other class or archetypes that are more unusual that they would support for it. Because, you know, again, like, you know, your pilot / rebel / smuggler / Jedi are the big, like, ones that everybody thinks of. And I like some cool differences that, you know, adds a spice to it because it is such a popular franchise. It's very cool. I kind of... I don't know if I have anything else to say other than that. I think it's really awesome, and that's you know, I would love to see more of these.
Oh.
And if you want to play an engineer character, I definitely recommend checking out Fully Operational. Fix up the ship for your team. Fix up your crappy ship. Or if there's like a droid as one of your teammates, fix them, because they'll probably fall apart at some point in time. And or get shot. There you go.
Or build some really cool add-ons or something.
That's cool too, yes.
I assume there's stuff like that.
It's gotta be. Laser arm. Pew pew.
Overload the circuits.
Mm-hmm. Everyone likes laser arms. Alright. So, let's kind of move on. I did want to talk a little bit about the God, playing around with the size of this page for Firefox is gonna mess with things. Anyway, the Elite Dangerous RPG came out with 3 books. I don't know a huge amount about Elite Dangerous the game, except it's more of like a space exploration kind of trading game. I thought you could like do some trading or battling, you know.
They seem to finally, from what I understand, be adding in plot-ish stuff.
To the actual
like
game.
Kind of, there's always been an aspect of Elite Dangerous that's a political simulator. Like you can do quests, kind of expand your like faction's territory, blah blah blah. Like so you can actually start to do kind of like engage in like full-on war battles. You know, there's stuff like that does happen in the game. But yeah, most people play it as a relaxing trade simulator. That's how I play it. But they have been adding in a little bit more plot stuff. Like they're adding in aliens apparently into the Elite Dangerous game. I think that's going to be like the next expansion, or it was the latest expansion, something like that.
Well, apparently the 3 books that came out were first off, which you're seeing here, military. Okay, that's like an obvious one. It's a space kind of exploration travel one. You're dealing with, you know, probably military groups, other things that, like military vessels, dangers, armies and navies in space. We also have espionage. Alright, that's a great one. Space espionage always sounds like an interesting thing. Stealth, thievery, hacking. And then space traders. So they did kind of like hit all the notes that I feel like when you talk about Elite Dangerous, the actual game, kind of you hit on a little bit there. I guess the espionage is the only one that I don't know about because they don't really have a plot or anything. But I feel like that goes along with the kind of trading, military kind of aspects that they had before. You could easily fit that, like, that's sort of in the middle, you know. So, we'll fill it, I feel like they filled in the blanks a little bit almost with that one. But
yeah, it kind of feels like, because the thing about Elite Dangerous is they do kind of have, from what I understand, a lore or like a world, and I think that's just more playing in that world. But yeah, basically, if it doesn't have to do with a ship, you're not playing it in the video game.
Yeah. So, and as you know, an RPG, you do need that in between stuff. So
yeah,
I think they're going in the right direction. With that, they're still sticking to some stuff which seems very much the actual game itself and stays with the source material, while, you know, filling in logical blanks. So I like the direction that Modifius is going with Elite Dangerous, and it sounds like if as the game updates, I'm hoping that means we have a reflection on the products too. So maybe if, as you said, they're adding like aliens, because I think I had heard that, you know, there was like a random rare encounter where you could find aliens or something.
Yeah, well, I think right now it's just a random thing, but I think like their next big update, their next like expansion pack is going to have to do with aliens or something.
Cool. So hopefully we'll see maybe an alien book coming up here in the future then, you know, after they put that out. Kind of fit everything together a little bit more. I would love to see more of that, you know.
Yeah.
It's telling me that this is an adaptation being done fairly right, you know.
Yeah.
Without diving into, you know, as we said, I don't think either of us played Elite Dangerous. I know someone that played it.
I play the video game every now and then.
Oh, you play the video game every now and then? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're higher up than me. So,
yeah, like I said, I mostly play it at those like a relaxing trade simulator because it's just kind of something I just do.
I think Daleric also played it a little bit at one point in time. I think he was playing with someone. I can't remember who.
He was playing with Mighty Rick.
Okay.
What is his other name?
I don't know.
Digital Derp. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Digital Derp, yes.
Yeah, I forget which one he actually goes by when he streams. I think Digital Derp is his stream one, Mighty Rick is his moderator one, something like that.
Okay.
But anyway. But yeah, he was the one who's like the real knowledgeable one on it. I don't know as much as he does. I'm still on like a Type 9 or whatever.
Well, at least, you know, as I'm trying to like, this is a good direction for them, and I'm hoping that they will continue this direction with Elite Dangerous, and we can see more cool stuff coming out from them. Modifius seems...
I want to look into this at some point and actually try playing it.
I think they have the quick start rules, so we can add it to the list of things to try out when I finally get that show started of trying out all the quick starts and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Modifius, then yeah, they probably have it.
Yeah, it's Modifius. They like put out quick starts for everything now. So, let's move on, though, because I do want to talk about Mirror. So, Sandy Pug Games released, basically, Mirror. It's a one-page RPG. That tells you a lot about how much it actually has. I don't have a decent picture. Well, I can probably pop up a decent picture here in a second for you guys to see that there. Anyway, it's a RPG about friendship. It's $1. Okay, price is right for me. For a single page, for an entire system, for $1. Okay, you got me that maybe it's good, because there's probably a lot of thought if it's a single page system. It's a one-page RPG for one-shots with experienced players and new alike, for 3, 5, or 7 players. It includes a printable character sheet, so technically I guess it's 2 pages then. You generate a character, and the character you generate is the person sitting across from you. A dear friend or partner. You choose their best skills, battle challenges and evils of the world with them, and kind of like bond. So it sounds like what you're doing is, and here, I think I can pop that. Does that show up correctly?
Jeez, yes, it's like 1 page.
Right, great. Every time. I'll adjust this on the fly anyway. Yeah, so this is an interesting one because not only is it like made to be a one-shot RPG, but it's also basically focusing on your aspects of like, hey, we're playing this together, you know, hey, they're showed up. Bam! I'm relatively good at this. I should have come up with an entirely separate window prep for this. Again, only thought of adding this in today. It does help. as something that's only made... Okay, well, my point I was across. It's cool that's made for one-shots. That's good. One-shot systems are something that we don't see a lot of. We see a lot of systems that are good for one-shots, and I think that's something we were talking about on Stellaris with Yumi and Tiv the other day. I think we were mentioning one-shots a little bit. And that's why, like, having one specifically designed for more one-shots is very awesome. And I think the idea of your mirroring someone else when you build your character is an interesting one. And I guess that's why it's 3, 5, or 7 players, because you will get mirrored as the GM, I'm assuming, as you sit at the table. So, like, 2 players will mirror each other, and someone is going to sit across from you and try to mirror you when character building. And that's an interesting idea, that they build characters kind of based around a person in the group.
Well, the interesting thing about this is, like, it says 3, 5, or 7, so it's like an odd number of people, which is different.
Well, that's why I'm thinking it will include... either the 3, 5, and 7 specifically includes you as a DM, or that's...
Oh, that makes sense.
Or it's you're being used. I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I forgot DM. DM makes sense.
Yeah, actually, that made more sense. My original way of talking about it was kind of neat and probably could be played that way. But when I talk about it some more, that's probably like, yes, you play with 2, 4, or 6 players because you want an like even number of players to like mirror them.
Yeah.
As people kind of pair up and make characters based on the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a really interesting system to try out. And $1's the right price for my, wallet. Definitely, I would like to see not just that maybe you don't have more systems based on, like, being one-shots, but better systems that more accommodate for the one-shot mentality. You know? Because even when you have a lot of adventures published, there aren't really a lot of, like, one-shot adventures put out there. I think the closest was the 5th edition D&D book, the one with all the little adventures in it. And even then, when I was looking through some of those, they didn't feel like one-shot adventures, though. Really, they felt like maybe one or a couple of sessions. What is that one? God, it was the book before Tomb of Annihilation, I think. Crap. I'm way too forgetful. Here, I can try to look it up in the meantime. But, as I was really trying to say about it, the one-shot is a very traditional thing for most RPGs. And without, like, a source where we're just having, like, the players come up with it is fine. As a DM, it's probably one of the easier ones to come up with. And I'm not saying that's a problem. It's just that, having something else is very nice, and having, like, something I can base stuff off of. Tales from the Yawning Portal from last year. That's what I was thinking of. Because it was a series of smaller adventures. But I kind of felt like through, like, at least one of the only adventure I kind of read through, it didn't feel like a one-shot. It felt like a short adventure, but not a one-shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be fair, one-shots tend to be a little bit more based on your group, whether it's a one-shot or not.
Yeah, that too. But I would love for, like, make something like Tales from the Yawning Portal, only it's, like, one small area, exploration. Things that make it, like, here's a series of things that, you could do one-shots or you could combine a couple together to make a larger adventure.
Mm-hmm.
In an RPG.
Yeah. Big thing, in my opinion, is, okay, so it's built for a one-shot, but can it do longer games? That's the other question I want to ask.
I am not sure. That's one of those things about it.
I mean, in theory, yes, you can always do longer games. The one downside doesn't seem like there's, since it's built for a one-shot, there's no experience or growth mechanic. But otherwise, it doesn't seem undoable.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to be pretty static.
Yeah.
which would make it a role play system rather than a.
So yeah, like unfortunately, like the information on there, discussion and reviews. It's sort of like three nice reviews, 2 positive discussions, and 1 that didn't like it. So hasn't been out long enough, and it's not big enough a game for like you get a lot of people talking about it. Though there was some suggestions like, you know, if you could do with odd number of players if you like went to the person to your left.
Yeah, if you did a rotation, that's what I was thinking.
They were saying it wasn't quite the same, but it would still work out pretty decently. It still captures some of that. Because rather than mirroring someone else, you're mirroring the group then, rather than mirroring a pair. Which isn't a bad thing.
I don't see the problem with that. I mean, there's nothing here that says it's completely necessary, or that tells me that it's completely necessary that you mirror each other. It's like, you know, it's just kind of like, eh.
And it sounds like
you're just using it to build your character. You're not using it to...
From the sounds of what I've read up on a little bit here, it sounds like you could kind of campaign it, but it would almost be like a series of short adventures kind of thing, you know?
Well, again, it's more like there's no growth mechanic, so it's kind of just like you could campaign it, but it's, you know, there's nothing that says you can't. Just looking at the rules. And also, it's not even, you don't even in theory have to do it mirroring a player. You could also just, well, you know, make a character.
So, yeah, it seems like a very interesting game. Experiment around with it. Again, you are getting like 2 pages. A single page for adventure and a character sheet. Which, the one comment the person did is like, I could have done that in like PowerPoint. Like, the answer is yes. If you have a concept for an RPG that you can type up in a single page, you could do that in PowerPoint. But guess what? You have to have a concept and a basic idea for a system. Good luck on that one. One that seems to function right and has some balance to it. I don't know how much Mira has a balance, but it seems to function all right. So
it looks balanced enough.
Yeah, it's $1. You're not losing a lot for $1 anyway.
Yeah, it's also kind of like you're complaining about
$1.
How much it costs or how hard it is to get.
Or
are you just mad that you didn't come up with it?
Probably a little both. Because there's places
like,
where candy bars are $1. Do I want this? Which might not be great, but I could probably play with it many more hours than I will enjoy that candy bar. Not that that candy bar might not be good, but still. Candy bar is fleeting. This you technically would have at least then. Just say. At least until PDFs go the way of the dinosaurs. Which you got a couple decades on that one at least, probably.
Yeah, until another company that's better than Adobe wants to come up with a format that is universally accepted. Because like that's the thing. It's like PDFs are universally accepted. Because Microsoft, they don't want to release their format because then people can, reverse engineer stuff.
Yeah.
That people haven't already.
All right, so that is of course Mirror. All right, there's one more RPG system I did want to talk about today. This was another interesting one. On the Air. I will throw up a picture as soon as we get into discussion portion of it here, because I don't want to mess around with you seeing all the pages and stuff, so I'll fix that in a minute. It's basically old-timey radio. It's going to emulate like the action, excitement, mystery of the radio programs of the 30s and 40s, which to me is like, those like murder mysteries or like weird dramas and stuff. Like I think there was like a Superman radio show. They have like a level of campiness to them because it was actors in a studio speaking to a microphone where there's guys with weird sound effect things in the background adding sound effects to it, or like an orchestra in the background, also like doing it live. So you construct a series, create a sponsor, whip up characters, and you're ready to play. You basically are really playing in a radio drama world, like a 1940s radio drama. And it does have a narrative structure that's supposed to like kind of mimic that things. You narrate your character's actions in a way, and you have to promote your sponsor's products. because you can get a sponsorship token, which gives you bonuses, which you can use to help with die rolls and stuff. So it's like, it really is radio drama, because you have to the brand of toothpaste that you're using. Your character takes time to brush his teeth before dinner with this brand of toothpaste. So I get the sponsorship token, so that when the murder happens when we go to dinner, I'll be ready. Ting! I made the sound effects because I don't have, I'm not going to explain myself anymore. I was going to, but it was going to be terrible. They say it's best for one person in charge, like a director, their version of a DM, and 1 to 3 players. So this is definitely a game you can do one-on-one, which is good. I like one-on-one sessions, but it's not...
There we go.
There's always something... Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying... It's like, how do I make that sound?
But not a lot of systems allow for repeated one-on-one sessions. One-on-one sessions feel like, one-shots, small campaigns, never really large campaigns with you and another dude. It never really fits. And granted, this might not be like super long campaigns because it has a old program structure, so you're playing a series. It feels like it has a little campaign. And you only need D4s, D6s, D8s. So,
are you playing the story that the radio person is telling, or are you playing like the radio person's life or something?
Think of it this way. It's the RPG you're playing is basically you putting on the show for the radio.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So it's almost as if like the character in the series is your character you're making. So it's sort of like you almost have to think of this is like a double role play. You're playing as yourself almost as a radio actor, in the 1930s, 1940s, playing this character for this series, while the GM is actually playing a role too because they're playing the director of it.
Mm.
I think that kind of like it's a very interesting mirror, which I kind of find is interesting. I said interesting twice already. It seems very cool. The kind of like concept they're going for here. And Jesus, I did it again. There we go. Hey! Whoop, whoop, whoop. When we talk about 1930s, 1940s, it's always, there's 2 versions of things that you ever find. Pulp and noir. You don't really find a lot of other stuff that captures that era, like 1920s through 1940s, in mediums that you play. Pulp is definitely always a fun one to play. That's your like Indiana Jones and stuff. A noir, it's the detective stories. Not that I don't think you could do detective stories or pulp with this, but this allows for, I feel like, because it is just trying to be old-timey radio, you could have things like the old-timey Superman stories, so you could do a superhero thing. You could do murder mysteries, which were a big one. There's a lot of other types of like radio shows that existed out there. So it doesn't focus on one genre, which a lot of period piece games, I feel, tend to do, And I think that's an advantage that it has by being just here's the concept behind it, add to it. Granted, as you could do cowboys and Indians too, probably, like a setup for that, where cowboys, because Indians is a terrible racial stereotype now, but even though that's the term that they would use back in the days.
For how prosperous the Roaring Twenties were, they're surprisingly uninteresting.
Yes. So, like, you can't really do something actual historic. You can do, like, fake historics, I guess, a lot of times.
Like, falls right in between World War I and the Great Depression.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be something interesting in other parts of the world, but in America, pretty boring.
Mm-hmm. We're done with Prohibition. No, we had it for a while there, but that was more of the...
Yeah, I think that was towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Of it?
I think Prohibition ended and everything got nice. Prohibition ended and everyone got happy. I think that's accurate, but like, I think my entire point here is that though you don't need to do it period piece wise, I'm sure you don't. It lends itself to being.
Oh no, it was the entire duration of the Roaring, because it's 1920 to 1993. Or 1933.
Was Prohibition?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it was the entirety of it.
Huh. Interesting. But I mean, like, so yeah, but noir kind of tends to bleed into mob stories also, which would have been another thing in there. The two of them are very close together. So like, the period that we're talking here has quintessential stories to it. And I think what this does, which I really like, is it says, like, we can take this historic period, and because we are setting up in this way, we can back away from those traditional kind of genres that people focus on, and focus on a lot more. Because I'm sure, like, I could come up with a horror kind of radio show, like World of the Worlds, or a sci-fi one, kind of like Buck Rogers. You know, there's a lot of options that you can do with the setting that they're sort of establishing here, which I like a little better, because I think that, I guess it makes you think more about these time periods. And I hate to say it, I'm one that suffered from that. Like, whenever I think of, like, RPGs or, like, running a something and doing historical, this time period, like 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, I go to either noir or pulp myself. You know, it's like, I think noir is where my traditional thought would be like, oh, we're going to do, like, a noir detective story then. I guess we could do pulp, you know, Indiana Jones. It's like, those are defaults that are very easy with that period, and I like that, like, it's like one of those things is, it makes you look, we always want to look at, like, any time period you do could have any kind of genre to it. You just have to try for it. And I think that's why I like this game a lot, because it reminds us of that. Because that's something that I don't think we always think of as, especially me as a DM, I know that's something that I don't always keep in my mind right away. So, I think that's what I had to say about it a little bit there. Unless you want to say something about this entire concept I'm kind of diving into, Wyrm.
I was kind of curious what pulp was specifically, and what's really funny is when I look it up, it says pulp, pulp is like a subgenre of various noir genres. So in theory, pulp still is kind of noir.
Yeah. Because, like, if you think of the structure of, like, an Indiana Jones movie, which is very pulp, it still mimics a little bit of that noir kind of feeling. Like, if you think, like, some of the early Indiana Jones, he meets the girl. He goes on some kind of adventure. There's some kind of mystery happening, you know? He ends up solving it. You know, it's got the same beats as a noir, though it's a lot more, it's like action noir, maybe.
Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or adventure noir would be better, because the noir could have, like, you know, gunfights and stuff too. Adventure noir. So yes, but I think this is one that'd be very cool to check out. I'm thinking that would be, it's $4.95. Not a bad price for a book, for an interesting one. And if you're a fan of that time period, or you are a fan of, like, old radio shows, or even a fan of, like, classic noir / pulp, maybe try checking this out. Try something a little different in your roaring 20s and depressed 30s. I don't know what they're actually called other than depressed 30s. I'm not sure what I'm calling it, because it was a depression.
Yeah, the depression was the 30s. I mean, honestly, I don't think it's really referred to as the depressed 30s, just the Great Depression.
It's the depressed 30s.
Refers to that time period.
I'm going to keep saying that and hope it sticks, the depressed 30s. They were depressed in the 30s. In more ways than one. All right, so that's on the air. Do you have anything else you want to add to this one, Wyrm?
Nah.
Okay, cool.
I'll be honest, doesn't sound all that. It sounds neat, but I'd try it. But
yeah, I think like
I was never a big fan of the old time radio stuff, so it's kind of just like I have no idea what to do, what I would want to do in that kind of game.
I'm not really a fan of it either, but I like the camp of it to a degree. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe after this I'll go listen to War of the Worlds just to kind of see what that's about.
Yeah, the original War of the Worlds. I think that's like the only one that I would actually recommend checking out, just because it was an event in like history so much, you know, that it was people thought the world was being invaded
because the news broadcaster, he did apparently announce it at the beginning, but that it was fake. But anyone who tuned in the middle, which was most people, thought the world was actually ending.
And I do like how I think it's the fairly original version of the World of the Worlds, which is we never see because they used cannons because it was Victorian. I mean, the original War of the Worlds has never been done in movie format because it's a period piece if you were to do it. And I think that's one of those weird things about it. I would love to see it though. You know, see Victorian London battle against, Martians. Someone, please, make an accurate War of the Worlds. Period accurate to what the story was. Thank you. Just because it would be weird and interesting. Anyway.
Hollywood, get on that.
Hollywood! Now, you like remaking things. People might be interested in this. It's original. No one's thought of it. There you go.
Well, someone's already thought of it, but that's the point.
Yes, but no one listened to him. Probably. Anyway. All right. Why don't we move on now? Because we do have some board games I want to cover, and we got some time to hit up a couple of these at least. And that might be... okay. Let me see if this is working for Joe. Give me a second here. I'm pausing the stream a little bit. I don't know if that's doing anything for him. Just a little test run to see if we're getting that right. If Joe shows up again, Joe will show up. I mean, not again. I mean, he sort of showed up at the beginning, but hasn't since then. Anyway, let's talk about Crystal Clans. Yeah, sure. That sounds good. It is available for pre-order if you're ordering it directly from Plaid Hat Games, or it is in stores. You know, kind of like they want you buy it in a store first, kind of thing. You know, which is probably not a bad idea. Anyway, what was I going to? I was gonna say something about it, and I lost my mind for a second there. Anyway, so it's magical crystals, and each of the clans is basically fighting over these magical crystals. You could take control of one of the clans and prove you're the mightiest of them all. It is a card game. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? It's a two-player expandable game. So it's a two-player game. It's always important to know. You battle with unique armies, you lead your squads across the battlefield, compete for the powerful crystals, and try to dominate the world. There are 1 to 6 clans, so even though it is a two-player, that means there is quite a number of combinations that you can do in this 1 to 6 clans. And it's just expandable, that means they could always add more. You know... you got to get 4 crystals in order to win. It's got some nice illustrations. And you basically take actions, take turns, fight each other, etc., etc. It's a classic sort of like one-on-one card game format game, drawing from your deck, seeing what you're getting, aiming to get these crystals for big bonuses, various things like that. Crystal Clans is an interesting one. It's seemingly simple, and two-player games. What was I gonna say? Two-player games require a little bit for me. Just because you need something to grab people together for. That you need, like, because, I mean, like, granted, there's a lot of situation that I have been in where I have played with just me and another person. But there's definitely a lot of times where, here, I'll fix the image up, finally, where, man, my brain is being a lot bad today. Wait, did I just say a lot bad?
Yes, you did.
Look, I should not have been up playing Stellaris for 5 hours last night. I will admit that. But the Shrampian hordes needed to conquer the universe, and it took a lot of time to declare war over and over again. Anyway, so yeah, I really need a two-player game to, like, draw me in and to feel like it's a worthy replayability. And is this one maybe a little bit the best? I don't know. I feel like I like games that have a two-player focus, but I would rather or it would at least have the ability to be played with more people, you know. Like, this game is preferred with two players, but you could play it with a group. But I guess maybe an expansion would introduce more multiplayer systems. Maybe? I don't know. It might introduce more clans, which would be an interesting thing, too. Yes. For those of you at home, and not going to be here on Twitch, it just goes up on YouTube, Wyrm's having an interesting conversation with people in chat. And cat. Meow.
Sorry, yeah, I'm focused on chat. I didn't, honestly, this game, I couldn't find as much information about it, so I don't have as much of an opinion on it.
Well, that's fine. Maybe Joe would have had one, but he's off in non-existent land and trying to show up. He has yet to do it, so yeah. We'll move on. It's best.
Yeah, I couldn't really find, like, how the game was played, so
I found only a little bit of information on it, and that's the problem. They only give some basics on it.
They have a cool giant crystal lizard thing.
Yes, which apparently is... Apparently that's one of the clans, I guess, you can be. Is like the Lizard Clan or something. I don't know. There's like... They show pictures of what I'm assuming are the examples of the clans, but I don't know if they are representative on what the actual full clan is. Okay. The Blood clan has a big lizard. Flower Clan has bumblebees. Water Clan has shapeshifters. Stone Clan has workers. Skull Clan and Meteor Clan, which apparently has gravity magic. Because, wait, why doesn't gravity magic instantly win? It's like, they're the Meteor Clan. They hit you with a meteor.
Because magic.
Because you have bee cavalry instead to fight against them. Bee cavalry? Sometimes I don't know how you could play those games seriously just because of little things like that. But let's move on before I distract myself too much. So, also out, dark.net. So this is basically doing the storyline of giant corporations take over all the aspects of life. You kind of got that dystopian future. Yeah, they do it a lot. You know, it's Shadowrun did it already. Sorry,
it's still fun.
Yeah, 1980s wants your concept back. Not that it's a bad one, but I like the joke. So players are out there on the fringe buying, selling, trading information, and basically trying to become an information broker. And I think that's a different take on this entire setting, information broker. So already there, I'm like, cool, all right. So there are 4 big mega companies, the big 4. You sell your soul, or you work on the fringe, and you guys are on the fringe selling information. So it's being the greatest information broker. Basically the guy that you go to for a job in Shadowrun. I feel is like what you're playing in this game.
Yeah.
It's the Fixer. Because Mr. Johnson's the guy that's... Mr. Johnson's the client, the Fixer's the one that sets you up.
Yeah, okay. That's right.
I can remember these things. So
I was like, I was thinking Mr. Johnson, but I was like, that's not right.
No, that's the client, which you could get a job directly from the client. Sometimes that happens. And there are specific Mr. Johnsons that you can go to for jobs all the time, and you don't even need a fixer. It's sort of like, I work for this guy who's technically got ties to these groups, you know? So I always get work from them. But anyway, that's an entirely other thing. Anyway, so it's 2 to 4 players, and it's all about running an information network. So now it is $45 too. So it isn't super cheap, but it looks
not super expensive either. 40.
No.
Games can be around like 20 to 40 to even 60.
And it does look like you get a lot of
the real ones
stuff.
you never buy are 80.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, occasionally you buy them.
You have to know they're really good ahead of time, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I don't feel like enough games are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty common for them to be 40. So 45 isn't so much worse.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do get the feeling that it has a very like hacking kind of concept to it too. Because you have like the transmission phase and the action phase. Oh, did Joe just become into existence? Let me see.
Ooh, and here it says 65. You said 45.
On Wizard Kid's site, they say 45. Alright, hi, welcome back. I did have to stop the stream there for a second just to get everything adjusted, but we are back again.
Yeah. My death is highly overrated. No, highly exaggerated.
You mean the rumors of my death have been highly...
He's very dead.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm actually a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You're looking a little pale there.
Anyway, we were talking about Dark.net with its 100 information cubes. Information cubes. I guess it's like a weird game because you're somewhere in between a like hacker and a like person selling information and a information broker. Because you're supposed to actually be an information broker, but it sounds like you're doing like network things in order to get your information, you know, because it's Dark.net.
Yeah, it seems like more like hacking side of things.
Well, I guess it's like you're an online information broker.
Now, the interesting thing is, it's 2 to 6 players. Not very many. I'm kind of surprised at how many games nowadays have been kind of 2+ players rather than, you know, because I remember like board games. It was always so annoying because you needed 4 players to play the game.
Yeah. Well, I think game companies are realizing that you can't. Sometimes you can't get a large group.
Yeah.
And are trying to adjust for that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a logical and smart thing.
Of course, then it's a pain in the butt when it's the opposite, and you end up with a really large group. That's like, what the hell are we gonna play?
So at that point, you just split into 2 groups and play 2 different sets of 2 different games.
Depending on your group.
I did that once.
Behold, I am the master of OBS. We are back to normal looking. Incorrect. Sorry.
Yeah. Or one group of friend plays Monster Hunter while the other play the game, a board game. Did that too. Anyway.
seems terrible.
Well, to be fair, it was more that the friend really wanted to play Monster Hunter, and the the other ones wanted to play the board game.
Well, that's like the thing is, I never mind. I was not one to ever mind watching some other people play video games. I just don't think I could spectate board games if it wasn't like a show kind of thing. You know, if there wasn't something to it. Personally. I think there's like a difference between the video game spectating and that. That's why, like, when people, like, I know people complain about, like, Let's Plays for, like, video games. Like, I'm fine with them. I did that to, like, when my brother would play a video game, I'd watch him play.
Oh, yeah. No, it's I mean, people do it from young. I mean, there's actually, I kind of find it really funny, because it's like people, I've heard people kind of, like, one of the fun things I like to do is, like, oh, you know, why do you just like to watch people play video games? I'm like, why do you like to watch people play sports?
Yeah. And I think we could almost say, like,
it's the same thing.
Playing a board game and watching people do it, now that we've gotten into that conversation, is a little bit the same thing, because it's like, people like to watch people play chess. And other, like, competitive board games. Yeah. Like shogi and mahjong and stuff like that. It's the same kind of thing. So yes, okay. Meh. Meh.
I feel like accents are important in Chinese, Japanese. I forget.
That's Chinese.
Chinese. Mahjong is Chinese, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Though it is played in Japan too. Man, look, I pronounce things terribly. People have pointed out on any of my, like, World of Darkness, especially my vampire stuff.
And I will continue to do so.
I butcher the stuff there. You should expect that. I butcher English. Why would I not butcher something that's supposed to be like in like a fantasy language? If it's butchering English, I'm gonna butcher that too. Thank you very much.
Fair.
Anyway, so back to Dark.net. You're the best information broker that's 2 to 4 players.
Mm-hmm. 45 minutes to an hour, pretty standard length for a board game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got some interesting components to it that make it, moving away from the image here so I can, like, check up on some stuff and talk about it, that make it interesting. And I like the fact that it's going for that cyberpunk feel, but it's a different direction that we most get. Because normally it's either like, you know, anti-corporate people.
It says its primary mechanic is worker placement.
Okay, so
so kind of like
maybe it is like
the D&D one.
Lords of Waterdeep. Yeah.
So maybe it is that, like, yes, there's this level of hacking to it, but maybe it's sort of like I'm getting my hackers to do this kind of thing. You know,
are you getting your hack on?
I'm getting my hack on.
Yeah, so you might be kind of more like a, you know, you might be the
network administrator.
Yeah, basically.
Network administrator, the board game.
You're probably the person.
Well, I mean,
what you probably are is the person who kind of like is I get a website administrator. Yeah, sure.
it really fits, even though it's like really you're the head information broker over a network of, you know, hackers, spies, and informants bringing you information and trying to be the best information broker on the outside of a dystopian future run by megacorporations.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
basically, I feel like that's honestly where our future is most likely to head, at least in America. Because we're kind of already there.
At least our benevolent leaders at Disney are benevolent. All hail them in their great ways. All hail the great mouse.
At least we have Amazon, Disney, and Google. They're not all Time Warner Cable and Comcast.
They are our benevolent overlords. All hail our benevolent overlords and their great
powers. Be nice to Comcast.
Why?
They pay
I hear they're like the worst.
He works for them, so he's the corporate slave to our dark masters.
Okay, I love them.
I love them. Please do not murder us in our sleep.
All the channels, internet, phone, because I work for them, for only $40 a month.
That is freaking nice.
So, Hail my Comcast overlords.
I need to get a job at Time Warner.
And my Comcast mouse.
Yes. All hail the Dark Overlords,
This
Comcast!
Discussing Tabletop brought to you by Comcast.
Our Dark Overlords at Comcast, and our benevolent overlords at Disney. All hail the Great Mouse. Who will soon
The
control...
frozen head.
And who will soon control all of our entertainment.
Yes. They just need to buy DC now.
I will accept that they will control all of my entertainment.
Can they please? Warner Brothers ain't doing crap with them.
They're trying...
The crossover movies.
They're...
Keyword try, not succeed.
They have done crossover movies and comics, so...
To be fair, they have a really good animated.
Crossover
Really good
movies.
animated stuff.
Yeah,
They
they
just
yes.
do horrible-
Their animation is top notch, much better than Marvel. But in the movie realm, it's the exact opposite.
And I think they just need to focus more on the cartoons, and they'll do fine.
Although a live action Batman versus Wolverine would be awesome.
Honestly, DC Marvel crossovers, if like somehow Disney buys out DC, would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've really not seen many... I know of the comics exist of them crossing over because they've managed to, like, work together before, but it's, like, so rare.
Yeah, it is really rare.
Anyway, before we get too much off topic, so Dark.net, out now, if you want to check
I
it
hear
out.
for not to drive you off topic.
Hey,
Isn't that our duty to drive him off topic?
I will go off topic no matter what. You just help along the way. The madness. So, we still got some good time. Let's hit up a couple more of these. I want to talk about Dragon Ball Z because they've apparently got a board game. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Perfect Cell. Okay.
No comment.
I watched a lot of it on Toonami in the afternoons, so I know a lot of at least what was on Toonami for the. It's fairly terribly edited, fairly terrible dubbed. You know, well, I guess the dub was okay back in the day, but like
The dub for DBZ is
There's
fine.
only one thing I know about the entire series, and there's a character called Goku.
yes,
That's it.
good work.
So, all the information about Dragon Ball Z I have gotten from TFS's Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
I'm not a big anime fan, so
yeah. So anyway, I'm going to be the guy here because I remember watching it in the afternoons in Toonami because I would watch the Toonami block, and they had it on for a good number of years. Anyway, without going into too much information, this is all about the Cell games, which is one of the major storylines. Where about like some kind of super robot that perfects itself and basically challenges the world, or it'll like destroy
isn't
the
there
world.
always a super robot somewhere?
I don't know. It was technically a super android or something. Normally it's aliens.
Technically, the Android Saga and the Cell Saga are different.
But Cell is supposed to be like bioorganic android or something. You know?
So the androids, they're robots.
So
they're all built by
Data
Dr.
from,
But they're a robot. They're more like cyborgs, but they call them androids because
I know.
why
There's
not?
a lot of weird
And then-
storylines.
what
There's
about
the-
Android?
Anyway, the basic concept is bad guy Cell trying to destroy the world. You take the role of Goku and the other characters trying to basically battle him out and stop it. There
So
you go.
Goku then.
You could be Goku. They mentioned a few others. They only mentioned Gohan and Piccolo, but I'm sure like you could be if you're Vegeta. But I can't remember if he was sort of like neutral then, or technically good, or still a jerk.
Oh,
or...
he was on their side, but he was definitely very much in the I just want to be powerful zone. Like
Yeah.
I'm with you only because I want to beat Goku.
Yes.
He didn't quite have the super good relationship with Bulma that he apparently has now.
Uh-huh. I have not even bothered jumping into the new series.
I
the
again,
Supers.
all my information. So all the information I have is from Team 4 Star, which is a lot. Because
If you've
they
seen
talk
their
about
Bridge
it often.
series for the new stuff, then good for you. You know more than
Yeah.
me. Yeah. So I know, like, after they stopped the original series, gone for me. So
I also watch some of their commentaries on it and stuff, just because I find them very, very amusing people.
So yeah, you're 2 to 4 players. You take one of these, the fighters from the group. You roll dice to generate energy. You allocate your dice into performing attacks, helping other players, buying upgrades, and you work together as Cell continues to generate threats that can heal him, damage players, or potentially lock you out of game-changing upgrades. So it seems like an interesting, without the actual Dragon Ball, if we would remove that, the basic concept that there is like, probably it would be like a deck and sort of enemy dice, maybe. I don't know if there's dice, it's hard to tell with what they've got there, but at least like an enemy deck that throws stuff at you that alters the game while you roll dice to generate something to battle against it, help each other. You know, it's a very good cooperative idea. Oh, they list more of them. Yeah, so it's Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Krillin, Trunks, Piccolo.
So, basically, really, wait, so Goku, Trunks, let me see.
Vegeta, and you could call Gohan in there, and you call it a day. Ignore Krillin and Piccolo. There's your 4 players for your 4 players.
The one you ignore is Krillin. Everyone else can kind of do something. At least they at least do something at some point. Yes. All Krillin does is screw things up. To be fair, Vegeta screw things up more, but he at least does something before he screws things up.
So yeah, it's the concepts are very basic, I think, for a cooperative game when you kind of talk about it. But if you are a big Dragon Ball Z fan, this would be pretty cool. You know, it is actually one of the iconic storylines in the entire thing.
Probably the most iconic, to be honest.
Yeah,
most people love it. Fusaka kind of goes a little bit downhill. It's still good. People still like it, but it's Cell's generally considered the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I can understand that. Yeah, so like Cell activates threat tiles, regaining, and okay, so he's got like threat tiles and stuff, and he's always got a pile of tiles that I guess you kind of like randomly shuffle out and put more in and things like that. So there's a lot to the strategy of the game, and it can go differently each time, and I'm guessing that each character has their own like little basic abilities and stuff you can do, which might be able to help to win the day. Yay.
I mean, it has some mechanical things that actually does look like quite a bit of fun, so...
Yeah, that's the thing, is like when you just look at the basic mechanics and talk about the basic mechanics, ignoring the fact that it's, you know, like Dragon Ball Z, which is a fine thing, which again, as I said, is it can be a bonus or a negative for you.
Yeah.
It still adds something to the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you power up tiles, power tiles, things like that you can enhance and upgrade your character, sort of things too, to do really interesting things. So
well, and I also do like the aesthetic, how like the little things are scouters and
yeah,
like little data. I think that's actually a really nice touch.
No, they got a very interesting aesthetic to everything too, which I think helps a lot.
Like the entire board game is basically a scouter, which is kind of like scouter screen.
Yeah. True. No, it's...
Even have that illegible data thing up in the top corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's in like every scouter.
Yeah.
That's supposedly saying something, but you could never read.
Yep, exactly. So it's cool. I feel like this is a very good adaptation of what they're trying to do. Not because maybe it captures the exact spirit of it, but it finds that mechanical balance that, like, I kind of have to say, I watch Dragon Ball, but I'm not, like, super big fan of it, so it's like I could take or leave it. But the mechanics of the game seems interesting. You know, they caught me on mechanics on this one a little bit. I would try it.
Yeah.
And it's co-op games are always fun, you know.
Co-op games are always fun.
Yep. Even when you lose to the game, which I'm assuming could occur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times when you lose a co-op game, it feels like your fault. Which I like. I don't like it when you feel cheated out of a victory. Sometimes it still happens, and like you're like, oh, that one was bad luck. But generally, you feel like, we could have done this a little bit better.
Yeah, you feel like you maybe want to try again or something. You want to you'll be like, oh, this can go better. We can do better. So cool. So Dragon Ball Z Perfect Cell is out now. If you're a big Dragon Ball fan or you're a fan of cooperative games, I would recommend checking it out. Did I throw that one up on here? I don't think I threw that one up on here. Well, I missed an image. Whatever. Sue me. I'm not going to get all of them. I forgot to do that one. I was too busy talking about it. Oh, there it is. Fairy Tile. Let's talk a little bit about that one. We have a little bit of time. We'll maybe hit 2 more of these and maybe throw... you know what? Let's skip Fairy Tile. Let's talk about at least the missile command. And then we'll maybe do X-Files today, or we'll throw it to next week. We'll see how we're feeling. Because it is getting later, though we haven't only been going for an hour and 20. I figured we would go a little longer. No, that wasn't even your fault. Well, maybe a little because we were waiting for you originally before you started. But that's besides the points. Anyway, so Missile Command. If you remember Atari's Missile Command, which I remember it existed.
I remember playing versions of this on the computer as well.
Okay, there you go.
And I'll be honest, I think this is a little bit old for me.
I also still own 2 Ataris.
It's old for all of us, technically.
The Atari was honestly my first console was a PlayStation 1, just to show how young I am.
My first console was an Atari original. Then we upgraded to the 5600.
Technically ColecoVision, but we didn't play a lot of it. It was really Nintendo that we started with.
Yep, I had PlayStation 1, then the GameCube.
Bless you, sweetie.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so you got nuclear missiles raining in. You got to defend against them with sending out your own to destroy your enemies. You trust in your allies, or you don't, to make sure your civilization survives more or less intact. That's the kind of concept of it. It's basically global nation has set you to nuclear war. So there's diplomacy, some strategy, throwing your missiles at your enemies. There's a couple levels to it. So I feel like, fire on your enemies, betray your allies. I'm guessing you could form alliances with other players and try to hey, we'll both win. And then you could betray them at the drop of a hat if it seemed like, Which I kind of...
Well, it might be one of those things where only one person can win, but you could team up, and then you it's more like, when will you backstab them rather than,
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably a cooperative way to win, more than likely. That, maybe, 2 people could win at most, it might say. Because it is for 3 to 6 players.
I don't know, because I remember playing Missile Command, and the whole point was to destroy the opponent's cities. So I don't know how you would have a dual win there.
That's true,
unless you can make a peace treaty and be like, okay, we won't bomb each other anymore. We got everyone else out of the way.
Yeah.
The only game I can really think about a dual win that comes to mind that's that's generally PvP but has a dual win system is Munchkin. And they make that pretty much you either have the elves or you have the divine favor win. Divine favor is the only way everyone can win, which is kind of funny.
I mean, it depends on what the ultimate goal is, because it looks like there's something called GDP.
Yeah.
That you collect, so maybe
but you use the GDP to buy missiles, interceptors, and nukes.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know. Sometimes these things don't always have rule PDFs to download.
This one doesn't. IDW is kind of bad at having those, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of go by what's being said, which it provides a little bit of information. But
I think the fact that you're all playing behind screens as well is kind of would be kind of a tip off of, there's probably only one winner.
It also says forging temporary alliances.
And it's actually at the end. It says, in the end, the player who can best protect their cities while destroying their opponents wins the game.
So, yeah, there might.
I think it's last player standing. If you still have it, because in the game, if you still had a city left, you won that level.
It's just that there is advantages to being diplomatic. Like maybe you get bonuses for being in alliance or something. Even
well, yeah, probably you get more GDP to use on missiles and stuff for later.
Also, it could be. Yeah. It also could be, hey, that guy's way in the lead. Let's tag up against him, and then we'll battle it out later.
Yeah.
So.
And then you get stuff that my friends have done before where it's, oh, we two are in the lead. Let's team up against the people in last and guarantee that it's just us at the end. I'm just like, F you.
Yeah, I think that's... I feel like this would be a very interesting game to play because it has that, like... It definitely does have that, diplomacy in quotations aspect to it. And, I feel like a little bit of strategy in a game like this makes it, and I'm not sure if it captures quotation missile command very well at all. Maybe it does. I don't know.
A little bit, maybe. The thing is, it's hard because, like I said, I remember playing this, and it's that you're literally shooting missiles and putting shields around your cities and trying to intercept incoming missiles.
Yeah,
I don't know. There do appear to be like little shield-looking cards or little shield-looking tokens plus
so I think
cities.
It does. It's just
and this little thing shows that one of the cities is burned down.
Yeah, I think it does. It's just kind of weird to see this kind of video game in a board game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does seem like there's... Like, when you look at all, like, the tokens and stuff, it's like, I feel like there's a lot more to the rules than they put out here. It's just, unless you see them, you can't tell what they are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
this is why I'm under the belief that, realistically, all video games can be made in a mixture of board games and role-playing games.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Huh.
Or both, technically.
Yeah, I know. The only thing that video games really do is they make it so you can do more complex calculations for things.
But looks interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely... If you're a fan of Missile Command, definitely check it out. If you want a little bit of, like, intrigue in your games, then I'd say probably check it out, too.
The one thing I do love is they have the original Atari cartridge art.
Yeah, for the box art. I thought that was pretty good. I saw that too.
Which, that's cool.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, apparently a lot of people want it.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Board Geek Games or whatever, their website, it says like, oh, this 48 people have it on their wish list and 33 people own it. And it's like, it's a pretty new game, so that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And there's one for trade.
Yes.
Don't you?
One person didn't really like it, I guess.
But there's 4 who want to trade. Who want it in trade.
Oh.
So like, well, I'll trade you something to get this game.
Interesting.
And apparently, on Amazon, it's $33.89, 1 cent cheaper than suggested retail.
All right. Sorry, Missile Command. It is out now. You can check it out. I put what it looks like up there. Why don't we push X-Files to next week?
That's fine.
Because we went for like an hour, and now we're like 27 minutes. We're going for a little bit now, and I want to finish up the show before we get way too late. So why don't we go to our Kickstarter Korner, where we each talk about a Kickstarter. I've got 2 things, so apologies if there's some Kickstarters out there you wanted to hear about. I'm not going to... I've got 2 special things to talk about. Do them, since we had a lot to do. Maybe if there's a cool Kickstarter from the previous 2 weeks coming up next week, I'll talk about that a little bit or something. Add it in to an extra. But why don't you guys go? Wyrm, why don't we start with you, because
I was going to say rock, paper, scissors.
you were probably more prepared, question mark? I don't know, Joe.
I am, actually.
I don't know how well prepared you were.
I'm fine. I figured something out, but go ahead, Wyrm.
Okay.
So I found a very amusing looking game called Draft a Dragon. And let me link it. And basically, you have a bunch of part cards, and your goal is to build, basically, using the body parts, the tail part, head part, you want to make a complete dragon. And you get points based on, like, the part, like, each part has, like, a point. Some are, like, worth 2, some worth 1. You get extra points for making things matching, so, like, and you get a really big bonus if you somehow make your entire thing match, and you draw cards. I don't. Which one? I'm trying to remember now. I didn't. How you play the drawing and stuff. Well, anyway, you end up like drawing cards, and you try and make a dragon, and it's kind of amusing. Just some of the like weird looking stuff you can make. You lose points for each body part that's not connected to something else, which they call a wound. So basically, if it has a place for a wing, but you don't have a wing placed, you take a wound penalty.
Okay.
But yeah.
Seems interesting.
Sometimes things are worth more points. Like if you have the, they show the two-headed dragon card counts for 2 points because it's 2 heads.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Yep.
Seems very neat.
It's a very fun, simple little game that's just kind of amusing. You make weird looking dragons.
Cool. Draft Dragon, it's out now if you want to check it out, or up on Kickstarter now. Yes. Mm-hmm. What has it got? 14 days to go.
14 days to go, and they're about halfway there.
Okay, cool. All right, Joe, what do you got for us today?
A cough, apparently.
The plague?
No. Plague's already gone.
Okay.
I have this one. Paste.
Well, dang,
on their Merry Way board game. So you're playing one of Robin Hood's merry men and trying to become his right-hand man.
Okay.
It is 19 days to go. It's at 3,766 out of 17,000, so still a bit to go. And 19 more days to go. It's got 51 backers. It's 2 to 5 players, which odd number, but interesting. Ages 13 plus and 45 to 60 minutes. So you have a base board that you're building trails and traps off of. You're trying to basically lure different merchants and other travelers down your paths to steal money from them.
Oh, this does look like a pretty good, fun-looking game.
And you, basically, gameplay goes by first you're scrounging, which you're getting tiles. Then you build, which you either build trails, cards, traps, or build onto top of other trail cards.
Okay.
And then it's travel, which each of the different travelers have different weaknesses, going from greed, laziness, to dimwit. And different traps and trails can try to, will have something that might match them to lure them down that trail. So you can beat them up and take their cash. And it's the first to 25 gold wins.
Cool. Nice. Interesting. So on their merry way, up on Kickstarter now, about halfway funded, so if you want to keep supporting it, that seems like a cool one to try out. All right. So I'm going to try to do this together and talk about it effectively, which will be a challenge. I'm hoping I say this correctly because it's System is up on Kickstarter. It's from Cactus Totem, who did God, I'm going to be forgetting their gosh darn name of the game. I saw it the other day. We talked about it. It was a Give me a second, and I can tell you about it. We talked about one of their games in the past, and this is another one of their Kickstarter, their latest one that they have. They put out before Mythic. Yeah, it is. Mythic, the Buried Temple of Alamar. Yep. The game without a GM.
Ah.
The one that uses a computer program to generate a lot of things for it. So, yes. God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you people at Cactus Totem. I love to forget things. And, I talked about this the other day, and I already was forgetting it because I'm terrible.
You being forgetful? That never happens.
Anyway, they were very nice people. They came on. One of them came on the show, talked about Mythic Temple of Almar, and I want to talk a little bit about System, their latest Kickstarter, which is out now. System. It's double Y's. System.
Studio.
It's a sci-fi fantasy compilation role-playing game system. They are 49 days to go, so they're pretty fresh. They've reached about a 20th of what they need, so they're pretty early into their Kickstarter life right now. They do have a little YouTube thing which you can use for their information. It's set in a world where the laws of physics is breaking down. Laws related to marriage, computer operating systems work incorrectly. You have to try to survive in this. You know, bankers control the government, politicians control corporations, shoguns control people, monks have balanced out the peace through violence, hacker mages are learning the origins of the cybernetic world, powering their magic. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on. There's 100 rules changes. The game breaks and the rules change. So it ensures no two games are played the same. So this is actually an interesting part of the entire idea of it. That, like, because the laws of physics break down, they have, like, a basic rule set, and they have 100 changes that can occur randomly in your campaign. You know, that, oh, here's the law, here's something that's normally how it would work, here's how it changes. But, like, other than that, there's also a consequences chart. Because your characters can do stuff to change the rules also, but all of that has consequences. It's like, and because, like, you could doubt a ruling of the game master, since the game broke is where you can challenge the game master, actually, in order to change a ruling or something, which is very interesting, too. They have a system built in for doing that. So, and they got a bunch of weapons. So they, like I mentioned, like, a couple of ridiculous things. A killer mechanical piggy bank that a mob banker uses, or a 150-pound sword wielded by a 109-pound ninja. Because, you know, that's very anime. They have 12 class types that break into 3 subclasses, so you have basically 36 classes in total. Some of them are very standard. Others are very interesting. Like, you can be a space marine, spelled with an E, not an I, so it's M-E-R-I-N-E-S. Space captain, Ronins, private eyes, mages, goblin merchant, ambassador, banker. So, again, also, the sounds of it, there's a lot of variety to the classes, you know. And they do mention that the space marines are basically their paladins, if you really want to know about that.
Okay.
Yeah. They got interesting art to everything. They do have some stretch goals that if they hit it,
I'll be honest, I'm not a very big fan of their marker art style. It's neat, it's stylistic, but not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's okay. I could take it or leave it for the art style, personally, myself, too. Which is, I mean, it's not the worst art style I've seen, so I can say that much at least.
No, it's okay. It's just.
I mean, I feel like it's more their marker quality, which seems to almost be.
We're both doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
the
lean back with hands behind the head thinking kind of thing.
Gosh dang it. I think we've been streaming together too long.
The artwork is very simplistic.
Yeah. And again,
Yes.
it's not like a bad thing. I feel like some people would like it. I know people who really like this kind of art style, but definitely not for me.
And it's like, it's also, I think for me, it's a little bit by image. Like, they're like cyber chick with the is kind of cool looking, but like the dragon space paladin guy,
the space marine looking guy,
is less for me, you know.
Yeah.
But the monks look really cool with it. That kind of almost like negative space white kind of look. That's really good, I think, and really fits the style.
So I think that's why, like, I think the images are a little hit and miss, you know. Sometimes they very work or they don't for me, which I mean is fine, you know.
Yeah.
And I like the idea
style,
of a system in flux. That's an interesting concept for an RPG.
It is, and it's kind of fun that, like, oh, this game we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, this is a change in the rules that you're gonna have to deal with. And then
in fact, it's kind of fun because it will almost it will keep the GM on their toes too.
Yeah, because not only is the GM playing like rules changes, the players can do things to change rules too. But again, then there's also those consequences that result from it afterwards. So it's sort of like, maybe I want to change the rule in my favor right here, but what happens after there, you know, in the long run, because I changed the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely some very interesting dynamic to it.
Do they have a list of like some rule changes? Because I'm almost curious what they like do. Like is it like gravity reverses here or something?
They might on their website. They have some information on it. They have that YouTube link. So, I mean, it's on their Kickstarter. They have a YouTube link in their description. So I recommend.
And I'll probably like watch that later.
Yeah, take a check on that. See what they say about it. If they can list the basic things, like some examples of stuff.
I'm also just curious for some examples because it sounds fun, but I'm also like curious. Like
we want a little bit more information. Yes, so I think the YouTube link will help a lot. No, I feel like this would be an interesting game system. Definitely try out. The idea of changing rules is something that feels antithesis to a GM to a degree, but because of the seemingly like way that they're building the system, that it's made to be in flux, I'm kind of interested in that. Then, you know.
Yeah. See, it doesn't bother me as a GM because I mean, honestly, players bring more randomness than a changing system ever could. So I don't like, you know, as a GM, it's kind of like, I can plan around some things, and it's like,
it's that old rules lawyer vein that's deep within me that I've managed to like sort of work away with a lot, you know. But it's still like, I remember those days where it's sort of like, you're the rules expert, go to you instead of like the DM kind of thing.
I mean, I'm that person as well, which is why I'm kind of just, but, you know, it's kind of just...
Yep.
I kind of view the changing rules as kind of fun, so it's like...
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that part does look interesting. What?
Oh, your camera's off.
Okay, well, that's fine. We're almost to the end of the show, whatever, at this point.
It just readjusted Wyrm a little bit, and you're just your like top image from Skype, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm a bodiless voice.
Woogity 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 woo.
I did want to mention one thing before we get to sign-offs. D&D Beyond app for the phone is out.
Okay. Cool.
Though it is not as extensive as the actual website.
I bet.
All it actually allows you to do is access the books you've downloaded or the basic rule book for free, and basically use the rule book on your phone.
Okay.
And I like scan the barcodes of the books I own because that'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't think that works. But it doesn't allow you to do the character creation like on the site, the compendium. It doesn't have all of the spells, homebrew stuff, any of that.
Okay.
So it's basically it's a glorified PDF reader.
Okay.
Fun.
Now there is one more thing I
wonder it's only 3 stars.
Yeah. There's one more thing.
Hopefully they'll be building in more of the stuff that they had done.
Yeah. So there's one more thing I want to quickly talk about, which I will then, link. Did I link system? I did. A game done by someone I talked to a bunch on Twitter and stuff. I wanted to give him a shout out, because he didn't ask me to do anything. I just felt like being nice and doing that, because I'm a good guy. There's the link for it. He didn't put it up on Kickstarter or anything, and Joe's returning. Nope, he was there first. He almost returned, and then he didn't.
What?
Spy Master. It's played with a deck of playing cards. It keeps trying to return to that knowing. It's a high rolling kind of like adventure, super spy kind of game. It has a unique RPG system based on I'm guessing poker because it says classic card game you probably already know, and that feels very spy. So
it'd be blackjack. I know blackjack is used in some games.
Okay. So
I have a phone app which is a video game based entirely around blackjack, which is actually really fun.
So it has, you can get full color, you can get soft cover, you can just get the PDF. It's $10. If you like spy games and you want to try something that's got interesting playing mechanics with playing cards, check it out. Just quick shout out. I will throw up the image here for a second while Wyrm, why don't you, well actually no, we'll do the reverse of what we just did. We'll do our week in gaming. Joe, go, shoot. Week game.
God, what the heck did we do? We did Cantan on Monday.
Can you do the Cantan?
No, I was gonna do that.
Which Tiv won the first game of it he ever played.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of got a little lucky there, but
he had a bunch of luck on his side and incidentally not a bad strategy.
No. And last Saturday we did the one D&D game.
Well, the Lord's card game, the Pathfinder card game we did.
Yes. Oh, Pathfinder. Yes, that's right. Pathfinder card game.
Mm-hmm.
Which we won.
Mm-hmm.
We totally kicked some butt.
Technically, we would go back 2 weeks because we weren't on last week.
I don't remember what we did 2 weeks ago. I was sick most of this week, so...
Technically speaking, I don't either. I think we played, on Monday we did... Was that, Forbidden Desert?
No, wasn't that longer ago? Maybe it was. I don't know.
I was right. One of the comments said it's blackjack. Anyway.
Okay.
Blackjack. Okay.
How about slapjack?
Only on a Tuesday?
What about a Wednesday?
And only with consent.
That's true. You want to have consenting slapping. All right. Okay.
I do not consent to your slapping.
That was an odd sort of system there. Okay. You keep attempting to come back and then never coming back, Joe. Eventually you may. There you go. Hey,
Oh!
He returns.
Apparently he just needed you to doubt him.
With my computing powers, I shall compute.
I have my doubts. Hey, I'm back. Fine.
In Pog form.
You're not Alf. Alf would have been back in Pog form. Oh, it was Castle Panic last week.
Panic!
Yeah, Castle Panic the other week that we did a couple games of. That's what we missed. And I don't know what we did on Saturday because for the life of me, I cannot remember.
I want to say it was something we hadn't done in a long time.
Probably.
Was it Lords of Vegas?
Oh, no. It was, Takanoko.
Oh, Takanoko.
Yeah, the one with the panda eating bamboo. We might have done Lords of Vegas, too.
Takedo?
Vegas.
Honda says it was Lords of Vegas.
We did Lords of Vegas, too, but I think we did... no, Tokaido is the one where you're walking along the route from Kyoto to Tokyo.
And we did not do that one. You brought that one with you, but we did not do that one.
No, I did Takanoko, which is the panda eating the bamboo.
Okay,
I think that was...
I got that mixed up.
They sound similar, but are very different.
They are very different.
But they
How
sound
about
so
Takanoko meets Tokaido? You have to eat bamboo all
Takanaido?
Takanaido?
Yeah, you have to eat bamboo all
And grow gardens on the way from Kyoto to Tokyo. Let me stop by here and grow your garden. Oh no, let me stop by here and eat your bamboo as a giant panda. Yum, 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 yum.
No, you have a pet panda with you.
Yeah, we all have pet pandas.
You tell them either you let me grow you another garden or my pet panda will eat your bamboo.
It's dumb. Anyway, Wyrm, how about your weeks in gaming?
I did mostly, let's see, had Amber City last weekend. That was fun. We are nearing the end of the first cycle, for which that should make sense shortly. We rescued the queen of Amber City, and we didn't rescue her in time because she was dead. But we got her body back.
Is it actually a rescue?
The answer is no, but still.
We rescued her very wounded bodyguard. Very wounded, nearly dead bodyguard. The queen was just unfaithful.
He seems less important. I hate to say that, poor bodyguard. You just seem less important.
And and then all-out war sparked with the Hobbs around. So for reasons obvious. Each side seems to blame each other for deaths that, honestly, from what we can tell, weren't either side's fault.
It was every side's fault.
Let's see. Then we had the ending of the Cowboy Bebop Besom game.
Yes. We finally got to it.
Got the money, gave the money to the mobsters, and turned the guy in for crimes he probably didn't really commit.
Yeah.
He did steal the money, but he didn't massacre people like we... To be fair, we already killed people who massacred people, and that person came after us. Not... Well, technically the guy. Anyway, that was all weird.
Uh-huh. Good times, good times.
Good times.
Yep. As for me, I did get a chance to play some Time Stories. I think you guys forgot about that. We did the Ancient Egypt one, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. We got through a couple times. I'm thinking we'll probably finish it up this Sunday, and I was thinking then maybe, if, depending on the timing, we might do something else, depending on how long that'll take. We were set up like at one playthrough or something. I don't know if we were in a playthrough or we were...
No, we did a couple playthroughs and we were ready for the third.
Yeah, and we were like, we kind of knew what we were doing then finally.
And we have 2 tokens to use.
Yes. So it's looking good for us to complete this third attempt.
In a decent time.
Yes, and then maybe get a little bit of another one in or something. We'll see. We will see if we will or not. Now, also, I played a little bit of Bastion Frontier. We did get that in, where Tools killed some goblins, and we attempted to change...
Kobolds.
Whatever, kobolds. And we attempted to... They're mostly interchangeable. Thematically, they're different, like, story-wise, but, you know, they take the same place of small annoying thing.
Small annoying thing that dies easily.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Under the Mask is what we
yes.
By the way.
Yes, because we're trying to get Tutankhamun's mask and poison it and put it back in the tomb.
Because the poison has been taken off.
Yeah, oh no. Oh.
Which I would think it would have been funny if we would have found out the guy who stole the mask died because he didn't know it was poisoned.
Oh no, poison.
Yeah. Oh, well, I shouldn't have stole this.
then we, so that was Bastion Frontier. I also did a couple of sessions of a D&D game with Tiv, which was fun, where I'm playing a chaotic good dwarven necromancer, who is an exile from his clan because his clan was murdered. He's technically exiled from the dwarfs because he's one of the last 2 survivors of his clan, so he's shaved his beard until he can regain his honor. So he looks really weird, and he's very goth. Because I've got like black tattoos under my eyes, and I'm like a necromancer, and I talk like this kind of all the time.
I'd expect a beardless dwarf to be goth.
Mm-hmm. And I met someone in the graveyard at midnight.
Was it Bob?
No, it was the other character. So like, I had them meet me there in the graveyard at midnight, and then it was like, why midnight? Why the graveyard? Because goth.
Because you're creepy.
It's wonderful. And now Ollie's joined that game. Which is.
And I also know why you have that quote, because of me.
I do. I stole that quote from you, and it was wonderful. Because you got into. Like, so goths trying to get into a fight with you in graveyard at midnight.
In real life.
Yeah.
In real life.
Goths trying
and
to.
And the guy's like, meets me in the graveyard at midnight. And I just looked at him like, I'm sorry, I don't swing that way. And just walked away from him. Because it was creepy.
I don't think I did anything else other than what was mentioned then.
Okay.
So, cool.
Narwhal bacons at midnight.
Say narwhal bacon bits at midnight?
No, the narwhal bacons at midnight.
Oh, I think you said narwhal bacon bits at midnight. I'm like, okay.
It was like supposed to be this like Reddit like when Reddit was like newer, and like it was like, oh, this is how you know someone goes on Reddit, because they say the narwhal bacons at midnight. Or and there's like supposed to be a response. What is the response?
I don't know.
Or is that the response?
I don't know. I like narwhal bacon bits at midnight.
Anyway, why don't we move on to Ask the Table, our final segment for the day, because we always have a final segment where you in our chat and or you in home can basically contact us and talk to us about various billion topics. Anything you really want to go over. We're pretty open to the number of topics you can discuss with us effectively. If it's something nerdy, tabletop related, whatever, any kind of question that you think you want to ask us, we're more than likely to answer it.
It's when does the narwhal bacon? The narwhal bacon's at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
But no one ever does ask us a question, unfortunately.
Hey, we've gotten a couple consultations of the table.
To be fair, someone asked us earlier what our favorite like plant besides pot was.
Yes. Watermelon plant because it grows watermelons.
And I said poinsettias because they were the only thing I could think of at the time. I'm trying to remember my actual favorite. I want to say
tulips so you could tiptoe through them.
Oh, I had eaten like very little of my food at the time, so I was still hungry. So I'm like, plant. What am I thinking of? Like a fruit or a vegetable? Watermelon. Great. I like watermelon.
How about tulips so you can tiptoe through them?
No, I think we both just thought of like the first thing we thought of rather than actually thinking of what our favorite was.
Neither one. That's not my favorite either, but I just thought tiptoe through the tulips, so. Which Wyrm is probably too young to even know that song.
I've heard the title before.
That counts for a lot.
You get a B+.
At least it's not a C-. So, anyway. I guess let's go to Wyrm and have you give some support of yourself, etc., because, you know, yes.
So, I am Diamond Wyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm. I also have a Twitter at Diamond Wyrm. And yeah, you can check out my channel today at 4, where we are for 2 weeks in a row playing Amber City, because we have been like skipping so many of them, and we ended at kind of a bad place because one of the players had to leave, and so we're just gonna finish things up, finish up the cycle, and Maybe do a little bit of the next one. Not sure.
Cool. Neat. Joe.
I pimp you.
Always.
For only $5.99. No.
I'm not that cheap, man.
Okay, fine. $10.99.
Anyway, so, yep. I guess, let's see here. I am Tentus Dracovin, your basic host. You can find me here daily. I do stuff daily. I probably will have, unfortunately, a third morning stream in a row I've got to skip out on because yesterday I was away for a billion hours. This morning I stayed up way too late playing Stellaris, and tomorrow I'm off at my grandmother's. So it's been a busy couple of days for me. I am not going to be around. Certainly not enough early in the... Like, if I wanted to do a morning stream, it would have to be really early. So I guess the European crowd would be happy.
Over the river and into New Jersey.
Yes. So off to New Jersey for me, some more adventures. So I'll stream in the evening. I will have we'll have time stories, but I'm not sure what else. But other than that, I stream daily. You can check out my YouTube side, where I've got a lot of video content, some VODs of stuff that comes up out here, such as this show, things like my tabletop simulator games, some other content, some scripted content. I've got my Discord and Twitter linked in the below. I have a Patreon if you want to show some extra support, which we get some great rewards there. My current Patreon I've got is Unfunny One. Thank you very much, Unfunny One, for all of your support you always have over the months. Otherwise, you can always...
And if you have any spare change...
Yes, he's got one. He's got one too. Giving us a follow always helps. Giving a subscription always helps. Subscription on YouTube always helps. Those are just great. Some simple ways, like 2 of those don't require you to have any money at all and help us out. You know, subscribing YouTube, following on Twitch, big ways of helping. So, you know, if you can do that, great. That's at least something. Does help. So I think I'm probably forgetting something, but thank you everyone who joined us today. Thank you once again to Joe, to Wyrm, for showing up once again on a Saturday to join me for this amazing adventure, which we're pretty late on, but again, today's just been crazy. But still, we'll hopefully see you all here next week for another show. We'll have a lot more great news, and we'll add in that X-Files game, too, that we can talk about. We'll at least add that into whatever the docket is. Yay! So, bye, everyone! So long!
Bye!